Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he's 49 years old, and he's going to share his story about events that have been going on for about 30 years since he really began his RP journey. Starts off when he was, I guess, in his late teens, very early 20s when he was in the military, and he met the woman that became his wife. He, just like many guys, married young. Not crazy young, but still pretty young in my opinion. And all the stereotypical stuff that happens with getting married young and getting married in general happened with her. One in particular, after she had the kid, she put on a ton of weight. It didn't do anything to permanently get rid of it. Meanwhile, this guy was trying to take care of himself. Major stereotype there. And you're going to see in his marriage, things weren't too good, but eventually it ends. And you're going to see here in this story, it's pretty entertaining and interesting that this guy finds a clever way to get her married off to somebody else, so he doesn't have to pay alimony anymore. Pretty good deal there. And anyway, guys, you're going to see how this continues on throughout his life to the point that he is completely RP'd like many of you. He's doing great. He's now at a point now that he doesn't have to work anymore. He's got enough money saved up and invested. And it's a really good journey with a lot of lessons I talk about all the time in here. So for you guys that like feel-good stories, guys that are doing great, that make something of themselves, and are enjoying the Bachelor life, you'll enjoy this. And you'll have some good laughs, especially you guys who have been married and know about how the second that ring is on the finger, some wives think, I don't have to do anything anymore, and she blows up like a freaking balloon. Good story here. So it starts off, he says, Hi SSM. I followed your channel and a few others for useful lessons and entertainment. I finally decided to share my journey even though I tend to be very private. I've always had trust issues. As a young man, I joined the military for 6 years so I could see the world and get the GI Bill for money. Money for college. I grew up in an intact family, but we were below middle class. During my 6 years in the military, I met my now ex-wife. My ex-wife was a great girlfriend. She was always very feminine, and we had you-know-what anytime I wanted. I ended up asking her to marry me because I was very blue-pilled back then, and that is what good men did, right? Of course. That's what we've been conditioned to do and believe. From everything. Movies, television, the media, our families, other guys that don't know any better. We were both 24 and had much promise. Well, at least you weren't like you were 20 years old and you said 6 years in the military. At least you were about to get out of the military. Because any of you guys that know, hear these stories, never get married when you're in the military. How many stories have I done where these guys do this, and the second they deploy, the wives are like, bye! And they're off to the bars and taking the rings off and hooking up with Chad and Tyrone. You guys know what I'm talking about. I left the military and started working for a computer company in the area and going to local community college to start on my computer science degree. My wife had already finished school before I met her. At the time, I did not know what college experience for women was. 1 year after we got married, my wife got a scare that she might have cancer. She had to get surgery to remove the precancerous cells from her cervix. I did not know at the time, but this was a cancer caused by HPV. Seems that she slept around in college and got HPV during her time. So, this is a long time ago, and still the carousel riding was in full effect. This guy is 49, I'm 44, so he's 5 years older than me, so I'm guessing he probably graduated high school around 1991. So, early 90s, no different than... It was worse. It's worse now compared to back then, but still. Nothing changes. Anyhow, he says here, I did not know what HPV was or where it came from. She, of course, never told me this and hid the fact that all women like her had fun in college. The doctor that performed the surgery told us that if we wanted to have kids, we better move because her window just got very short. So at 26 years old, our daughter was born. Things were going very well, but my wife gained a decent amount of weight during the pregnancy, but she promised she would lose it all. Sure. Guys, let me tell you something. Maybe I come from an athletic family, I don't know. But I've observed that I've seen plenty of women that get pregnant and have a kid, and sure, they're carrying a little human inside them for 9 months, so I can only imagine the hell that is. But afterwards, I've known a number of women, not to mention my sister and my female cousin, that, first of all, they didn't blow up like pigs during the pregnancy. They still exercised and were active, didn't use it as an excuse to eat garbage. They took care of themselves. And the second the kid or kids were born, boom, within months, they're back to looking good. My sister did it with my nephew. My cousin did it twice with my other boy nephews. I got tons of boys in my family. It's awesome. And plenty of other women I know and look good afterwards. But then there's others that just let themselves go and just don't do anything. I get bodies are different, but, you know, it's crazy to me that you can see some that look good and others that don't. It's just, but then you find out they just were eating like pigs the whole time. So believe me, this guy, if he's working hard and staying active, there's things she can do too. It's not fair to him. Some people will disagree with me and hate on me for saying that, but no. And there's so much knowledge nowadays on how to lose weight and keep it off. I mean, come on here. I get this was back in the late 90s, but still. Anyhow, she's a fatty. It says here, life was pretty good for 3 years, but I had to stop going to school and work like crazy paying the bills as we agreed she stopped working and stay at home. I got a few promotions and was making decent money at 29 years old in 2002 at $50,000 a year. My wife was now pregnant with our second child. When our son was born, we had to move into a larger home. The new house stretched our budget, but the school system was good. My wife again gained even more weight. So much for the I'm going to lose it all right away type of thing. When we met, she was 130 pounds. After my son was born, she was now 195 pounds. It was a huge turnoff. I decided to go back to school and finish my degree so I can make more money. Good for you. On the grind. Over a year and a half, I worked full-time and went to school. I finished a computer science degree and got a new job making close to $100,000 a year at 32 years old. Sweet, bro. So we're talking around maybe, I don't know, 32 years old, probably about 2005, give or take. So $100,000 a year now is pretty good wherever you are in the country. Now, obviously, if you're living in New York City or San Francisco or Boston or whatever, yeah, that's different. But for a lot of parts of this country, you make $100,000 a year now in 2022. You're pretty comfortable. But back in 2005, good work at 32 years old. See, guys, this guy's on his grind. He's majoring in something that is going to pay a return off his time and money invested in this degree. When I graduated, I gained almost 40 pounds myself. Smack. No, dude. You weren't carrying a little human inside you twice. I get you had a lot of pressure with the kids and school and work and all that, but still could have eaten better. 40 pounds is a lot of freaking weight. The same week I finished school, I started hitting the gym. Okay, you redeemed yourself. I lost weight and started putting muscle back on. I discovered CrossFit about a year later and never looked back. I lost 57 pounds and was down to 185 pounds, which was a little lean for my height. Awesome, bro. Good job. See, guys, this is a guy who's on his grind, on his purpose. Okay, yeah, he put on weight during the school, but at least that school was meant for something to double his income. And boom, lost it all, and he's on his grind. This is success, guys. I was now approaching 35 years old with a great job, 2 amazing kids, and very healthy, but my marriage was not. I could not get turned on by my fat wife. Sex was dead. She kept losing and gaining weight during those last 5 years. In 2008, she filed for divorce. When I read this story, I thought he was going to be the one filing for divorce, but she did it. So she just did him a huge favor. I mean, guys, for any of you guys that are married or in relationships and your wife or girlfriend has put on a bunch of weight and you're not breaking up with her, you know what it's like. It's like, why the hell can't you take action and do something about this? Okay, now if you're married, obviously it's more complicated to end it with her. You can do it, but still, it's like you're busting your butt at the gym, you're eating healthy, why can't you? But a lot of gals think that, hey, he's not going anywhere, so I don't have to make the extra effort. And then what happened is when they get divorced, they lose all the weight like that. And it's like, why the hell couldn't you have done that? Well, watch what happens. There was no big arguments or infidelity. She just knew I was not happy with her weight and that other women were interested in me. She called it a preemptive divorce. Rather than mess with family courts, we settled. My wife was working again at this time, so I paid child support and a small amount of alimony. I had seen this coming and already had a great plan. My wife was going to church, and I knew there was a nice guy there that would marry her. I began working behind the scenes on my ex-wife and this guy. Translation, get him married so you no longer have to pay her alimony. Very devilishly clever. 2 years after my divorce, she told me she was getting married. Off the hook. I pretended to seem bothered by this, but I was thrilled. She got married, and I was off the hook for alimony. I also got out of child support by agreeing to contribute money into both the kids' 529 college savings plans. I started one for each kid when they were born. I now had more money, so I bought a house and decided to open a small CrossFit gym with friends of mine from our former gym. Cool, man. So you're an entrepreneur as well. See, guys? So life is short, and life can be a great experience if you try to make it that way. And it's about achievements and seeing what else you can pull off. This guy is on his purpose, with college and getting better degrees so he can make more money, and then going to CrossFit, losing the weight and getting top shape. And now he's like, hey, I'm going to open a CrossFit gym. It may not be a huge money maker, but still, with his friends, this is awesome. He said, I did not mention before, but once my wife and I were divorced, she lost a ton of weight and got addicted to yoga. Imagine that. After all those years you were married, she was overweight and you weren't attracted to her and you weren't hooking up and all that. But you get divorced and all of a sudden she's off the market, needs to find a man. Then magically she can all of a sudden lose the weight. How about that? The crazy thing is, the entire time my wife had divorced me and married her new husband, she was coming over and over and cheating with me behind his back. Smack. Not cool, dude. That's some other dude's wife. She's no longer your wife anymore. And I don't care if she looks hot again. That's not cool. All right? That's one thing about this story I don't like, okay? You're better than that. At least I hope. This was a real eye-opener to me on women. I was active dating and still sleeping with my ex each week. I learned a great deal about female behavior and began to see them as no longer sugar and spice. Yeah, no shit. I kept working and furthering my career. I had a friend at work tell me about Bitcoin in 2010. Aha. It seemed like something interesting, and I had disposable income. I started buying some Bitcoin and eventually Ether, as it all seemed like a good idea. Well, back in those days, you could buy a bunch of it for next to nothing and just say, fuck it. Let's see what happens. You get a point, guys, that you see an opportunity investment in something, and it's not that expensive, just a few grand here, if that's not a big deal to you. You never know. He goes on, he says, the gym was not a big money maker for me, but I enjoyed it, taught classes, and took the profits and used them to remodel my house. In 2013, I discovered the rational male and learned a great deal about female mating strategies, and having much of what I learned myself confirmed. I went back to school and got my master's in cybersecurity. This helped me get a job working for Microsoft in 2015. I was now making $200,000 a year as of 2019. See, guys? Constant self-improvement, constant bettering himself. I don't agree with him hooking up with his ex-wife because that's now some other dude's wife, but aside from that, on the grind always. I had lots of younger friends from the gym I hung out with and was amazed at all the hot young women I could pull. Well, of course, because you are approaching 40 years old, you make darn good money, in darn good shape, you're a bachelor, you're happy, you're having a good time. Just don't make any stupid-ass mistakes with these young chicks. Life was good. My ex was still coming over a few times a month. Smack. Not cool. One day, she ruined my whole thing by saying that I was her soulmate. I cut her off quickly and said she needs to stop coming over and stick with her husband. This sort of soured a very friendly relationship we had. Friendly, huh? In 2020, when Trump lost, I started selling all my crypto on the exchanges because the value was so high back then, and I planned to retire. Once I finished selling it all as of January 2021, I moved the money into other investments, so in August of 2021, I decided to retire. How about that? I sold my house and moved to a house on the water. I was very happy. I could fish or do whatever I wanted now. My ex got word of my retirement and new house and tried to make me go to court to get some of the crypto money that claimed that I hid this during the divorce. Of course she did. So first you divorce, and now she's hooking up with you, even though she's married. That says something about her character. And now that she finds out you have all this money, all of a sudden she wants to come after you for that money, trying to say that you were hiding it from her. Shocker there. I had to pay over $6,000 in legal fees just to prove I bought it in 2010, and our divorce was finalized in 2008. I'm now 49 years old, retired, and in great shape. My daughter finished college in 2021 and moved in with me, and it's working. My son started college at the end of 2021 and has moved in with me during that summer when not in school. Both kids love the new house. There is no issue with the ex after the court case. The kids just want to live here due to the view, and I own a boat and 2 jet skis. Man, you have the freaking life. Good for you. But again, the common theme here is the guy was constantly bettering himself and on his grind. Look how happy he is. It's hard to compete with that. Both kids love to fish as well. I expect my daughter will move this year, but for now, she's saving for a house. Not much else to tell other than I'm dating a 26-year-old smoking hot dental hygienist. Just want to say keep helping men out there and let guys know there is life after divorce, and in fact, your life can improve. The main point of my story is women are only as loyal as their options. Absolutely, and it's proven that, my man. So, great job. Married young, didn't know any better. The stereotypical things started happening, all that, but eventually you got out. You got lucky that she initiated the divorce, because it sounds like you probably would have just kept staying with her regardless, and you obviously weren't happy. Certainly not getting any, because she was a big fucking buffalo. And I'm glad it was amicable, but not cool sleeping with your ex. That's some other dude's wife, man. But obviously she's out of the picture now. But I think the really cool thing about this whole story is he's constantly on his grind, making things happen for himself. And now he's 49 years old, and he's essentially retired, and he's free to do whatever the hell he wants, you know. But here's the deal, and I'm willing to bet you this. Guys like this don't ever stop doing something, okay? He probably will get bored in about 2 or 3 years of retirement, and then probably start doing something else, freelance or something to make more money, or maybe start a business or something, you know, because guys like that never stop. Anybody that's out there that's watching this is a business owner or a lifelong entrepreneur. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You can have all the money in the world, and you're still going to keep grinding because it's fun. It's a challenge. You know, I'll probably be working to the day I fucking die because I love a new challenge. Businesses and other things, other mountains to climb, if you will, you know, because that's what makes me happy, you know. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Give this guy congratulations for being on his grind and doing well for himself. And guys, if you have a really good story you'd like to share with me, your personal life, things you've gone through or overcome, or a great revenge story or something nuts, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Also, if you have find a good article they think be good for this channel, be entertaining or helpful, email that to me as well, and I'll cover it down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.